So I'm going to challenge all of you to go and be an ambassador for this field. I personally love using the term hypnotherapist. Now, I'm in Florida now. I started in California. I moved to Florida 17 years ago, and I went to a chapter meeting of a different group. I won't name them, but they have 3 letters. No, I won't name them. But I went to their chapter meeting, and the first thing I noticed was everybody was angry. They were like all arguing about how bad their conference was or something. And I was like, wow, negative hypnotists, what a weird concept, because people I hang out with aren't like that, you know. And they were arguing with me about, you're going to get arrested in Florida if you call yourself a hypnotherapist. And I go, and I thought, well, I already looked into it and all that. So I had already done all the research. So I went and did some more research and came back, and I talked to some people in this field that are actually lawyers and stuff. And I said, I'm convinced that it's exactly what I thought. And I read the statute, and it's fine. And they're like, well, if you want to get in trouble. And I'm like, well, name me somebody who did. Oh, gee, they couldn't. So here's the thing. I named my company 27 years ago, Unlimited Possibilities. And that, in my experience with the back injury that I got over, by the way, I got over a cat allergy before I knew how to do official hypnosis. Because you know what? Strong emotion in your client, guess what? It makes the results better, doesn't it? And I love cats. And I remember saying to myself one day, I love cats and I refuse to be allergic to them. And I was really young, and it went away. It went away. Emotion. Love is a pretty strong emotion. Now, my dad, on the other hand, emotion can be strong and positive, even if it's anger. There's no bad emotion. In the right context, I don't believe there's any bad emotion in the right context. So my dad, he's up in a small town where I grew up and where he grew up. And his hangout is the VFW, because he's a World War II vet. He's gone now, but he was a World War II vet. And he's like in his 70s, and he quit smoking. He called me in California and said, I quit smoking. I almost fell out of my chair, because he never talked about it. All those guys smoked at the VFW. He says, well, that stupid law, they put it in California, they put it in here, and now we can't smoke at the VFW. And I'm like, oh my gosh, at the VFW? Everybody smokes there, right? And he said, yeah, and I was Southern Illinois, he says, I was standing outside in 2 feet of snow, and got, I'll use the initials, I got PO'd. Y'all know what that means. And I said, this is BS, you know what that means, except he said it. And he threw them away. Just got mad. And I said, so, what's that like? He said, never thought about it again. Extreme emotion. We can use it. We can use it. So when we're doing our interviews with people for medical and for psychological issues, I was reading in one of the research papers for something on the medical field, and they were saying, almost everything can be affected by your emotions. And I'm like, or your health issues. Almost every health issue can be affected. I'm like, which one isn't affected? So we all know this. And guess what? Even if the only thing you do, I love progressive relaxation. And Ann Spencer again, she says, why would you spend 20 minutes doing that? But she would say, do a rapid induction and then but then she was calling it not an induction, it's a deepener. But people come in, and if they walk out and are more relaxed than they've ever been in their life, you just gave them a healing session, didn't you? Now, by law, of course, depending on where you're from, there's certain words that I stay away from in Florida, and California was pretty much the same. I don't heal people. I don't think anybody ever healed a person. There may be some extreme exceptions to that. There's exceptions to everything. We stay away from those words, but we heal from within. Bernie Siegel says, all healing begins within. So when we talk about integrative medicine, even if the only thing you do is help that doctor that you connect with, or that you helped one of his patients do something else and he hears about you, hopefully with your help hearing about you, and you say, you know what, I can really help with the stress. Stress is what everything's about. Psychoneuroimmunology is all about stress levels. We can help those people not only to be less stressed when they're with us. The nice thing about hypnosis is we don't do something to them. We don't, the other kinds of medicine and even most mental health is doing something from the outside. Like, there's something wrong with me, I'm broken. That's been the model, right? And you're gonna fix me with something, either physical or something. You're gonna do something to me. You're gonna fix me with hypnosis. Well, no, I don't fix anybody with hypnosis. Hypnosis helps you to access the part of you that knows how to fix it. It's already in there. I say it's in there, like the spaghetti sauce. Remember? That was too long ago for most of you. Okay. But integrative medicine, like I said, if the only thing you do is help people with stress, that's going to help why hypnosis is the perfect modality. That's why it's at the center. because it honors and respects all of those other modalities of any kind of other specialist that refers to you, only it takes it to that next level that only we can do. And that is to help that person to feel empowered. And then we teach them self-hypnosis, of course, because it is self-hypnosis. If they don't cooperate, right? I used to always say belief, expectation, cooperation, and imagination are the things you have to have for hypnosis to be successful. I was taught that, and I said it for years until. Have any of you ever had a smoker that you saw a month or two or a year after and said, you know, when I left there, I didn't think it worked? Right? You ever had something like that happen where somebody said, I didn't think it worked? I've had that quite a bit, actually. And that's fine, as long as later but then they say, but then I realized about a week or two later I hadn't had a cigarette. So something must have happened, right? Or the sentence out in my trainings, I say, the one sentence you're going to hear most, from your clients is, I don't know if it has anything to do with what we did last week, but, and then they tell you some amazing thing. But it's so natural, and that's what's cool about it. We're not giving them a pill. We're not trying to fix them. We're helping them to readjust and rebalance and fix themselves. Now you've given them a tool. They've discovered the gold mine. They go, oh my gosh, and all on their own they start doing other things. So, quick story. I was working, I had a gentleman many years ago that came to me and had great success quitting smoking with me, okay. He was ready to quit, he quit, he was happy. I didn't see him for a year or two, it was a long time later. He calls me and he says, my wife, she's having a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. Now, of course, when they use words like anxiety, I'm gonna say, is she diagnosed? Is she on medication? Blah, blah, blah. You're going to find out a little more because people don't realize those are medical terms. I'm depressed, I'm anxious. You want to make real clear, so that you can get a referral. But she was just stressed. I could tell just by what was going on. It was just a temporary little thing that was stressing her out. So she comes to see me. He sets the appointment for her because I knew him. And she comes in, and I think I'm pretty good at doing intakes, doing the pre-interview. So I was pretty thorough, I thought. And I did a wonderful relaxation. Usually I do 3-session package for things like that just to get them, start teaching them some triggers and anchors and get them to start getting going on their own. I figure after 3 weeks they're off and running. They won't need to come back and see me ever again, I say, for most things. So she had a great session, and then she leaves and she comes back the next week. I think it was the second session. She walked in and she was just really up and excited and stuff. So we said, so tell me what's going on. And she says, oh gosh, I had the best weekend of my life. We went out to the country, we went horseback riding, and she's talking about her, I think it was her daughter, and her husband went with her, and she just kept going on. And so I'm like, okay, so we need to start the session sometime. She kept talking, and she was just so excited about this horseback riding. And she wouldn't stop talking about it. And finally I said, so had you like not gone for a long time, or she says, well, yeah. Remember, I was allergic to horses, and after my session with you last week, I rode all day long and never sneezed once. Now I'm sitting there going, okay. I had no clue. And like I said, I feel like I do a pretty good interview. She never mentioned horses once. Just relaxing her for stress reduction. Her mind expected. Now, if you can call that placebo, I think that's underestimating it a little bit. I think it's a little more, even more powerful than that. She thought she was there for the allergy. Now, I didn't do my allergy that I would normally do if somebody came in for that. So here's the thing. Don't get caught up in techniques. Just like prayer works for this person, timeline will work for this person, parts therapy maybe for that person. I do all of the above probably at some point with people, because why not? And NLP to me gives us some of the best resources to learn, or at least for me it did, as the more I got into doing NLP, which I started right away with hypnosis, teaches us how to be with the person without those biases, right? Everyone has the resources they need. And to me, all the labels come off, even though I'm working with Dr. Rosen and the medical hypnotherapy, he's bringing in elements of the diagnostic codes, which was really foreign to me at the time we started working together. And I had a bit of a problem with it. I'm like, I just spent all these years erasing labels, and now you're gonna talk to me about diagnostic codes, which the book's like this big now. Started out to be statistics, right? Now it's like this big. They have a condition for jealousy. That's when I said, oh, they must have a pill for it. I don't know, why else would they? So it's not about the label, but we can still learn about enough like I said, I don't want to go to medical school, but we can learn enough about how to work with the medical community intelligently so that they can respect us, that we can help them to even look better by helping them, right? So we can know just enough about things maybe to know what questions to ask people. And that's where the learning a little bit about DSM comes into it.